So, dudes, let's go on a trip. Let's go on a trip back to 2009, 2010, 2012-ish, where we talk over a Call of Duty video. Before we get into it, this video is sponsored by Apex Gaming PCs. I've been partnered with Apex Gaming PCs for a while now. We have 3 tiers of gaming PCs, custom-built gaming PCs ranging upwards in price and in terms of the power of the parts inside of them. You also have a little thing that you can use to compare and contrast the actual FPS values that they're going to be getting on various games on the website itself. They're not cheap. They're pre-built. You're paying for the labor, and you're paying for the expertise from the staff working at the company. Don't forget, you also get a hotline with the company to help you out in case you have trouble on the technical side of things. It's a great support system. They know what they're doing. Really well-trained people working at Apex. Use my code Gregor. You get a checkout discount, and you get free shipping on anything above $2,500. So keep that in mind. Thanks again to Apex Gaming for sponsoring this video. I'm running the F-Tech Recon battle rifle with the 5x zoom scope, the Ripper Grip, and the Bull Barrel. Bull Barrel gives a lot of bullet velocity, which is very, very much needed with these kinds of guns because you need lots of follow-up shots. Also running a stock that decreases the ADS time just a little bit. But that's enough about the actual gameplay. This is me spitballing for the most part in one take. And I wanted to clear the air on a lot of things going on with the channel right now because I don't think people are truly aware of what's going on in terms of the content direction here. And normally I don't like these kinds of videos, but I need to get something out on time here, and it's just one of those things. So this is a convenient time for me to just kind of let people know what the heck is going on so they can get a general idea of the temperature in the room. And let's just go. So, first of all, I'm not quitting Siege content. Again, I feel like I have to say this every single time. I go through a period where I'm not doing as much Siege content because I'm trying to do something different with the channel. I'm trying to cover different kinds of content. I'm not quitting Siege. So I'm just going to say it 5 times. I'm not quitting Siege. 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 I have, however, taken a break pretty much for the rest of Brutal Swarm. I'm probably not going to touch it again until the next patch drops. And the reason for that is because it's just not tenable right now with the cheating situation. Even in the ELO that I play in, I know a lot of people like to think that, oh, well, the only people that run into cheaters are people in Diamond Champ. No. Those are the people that usually, start to finally get banned because they've gone long enough, and that's where you get like a really, really significant amount of rollback. But you still get rollback in Plat. I get rollback every other day or so at times when I'm playing the game pretty frequently. So if you play the game for about 2 to 3 hours in a given week, you're not going to notice as many cheaters, right? And you're not going to get the game experience where you're going to be able to even notice it. Let's be honest, right? So, aside from it being tough, having a position where your channel is pretty much marketed around Siege informational content, that situation is frustrating because when the cheating is really bad, it removes the incentive that people have to want to learn the game because then, the shiny rank, the shiny badge doesn't really mean anything because that rank is full of cheaters. Why would you want to get better at a game as complex as Rainbow Six Siege if you're just going to play against cheaters all the time? So, I decided instead, I'm just going to play the current fare. I'm just gonna do what's popular. I'm gonna play what's popular. I'm gonna try to cover what's popular, and I'm just gonna play what the hell I want for just a hot minute here. And it's been working relatively well. I did an Overwatch video, how to play every hero. If you haven't checked it out, if you're interested in a very, very rudimentary but I think helpful sort of breakdown of each hero in Overwatch and their abilities, including some tips that I personally wouldn't have been able to know without a buddy of mine who happened to be a collegiate Overwatch player. That video, I think, will give you a pretty decent primer if you know absolutely nothing about the game to get you get the ball rolling and get you playing comp at a level that I think is reasonable for a completely brand new player. So that video got 100K hits in about 12 days, which is awesome, which is really, really cool for a video that covers an entirely brand spanking new game for the channel. And if I had gone with my my head instead of my gut on this one, I think that I would have missed out on a really good opportunity here. Because the press and the reactions that I was reading from player feedback, of course on Reddit, right? Everybody loves Reddit. But Reddit, YouTube comments, Twitter, there were so many places I was looking at concerning Overwatch 2 that told me, oh, wait, is this gonna bomb? Is this gonna like flop? And that is exactly what has not happened. Obviously, when the game first dropped, the live streaming numbers on Twitch and on YouTube were really, really good, in excess of about 380,000 at times, you know, just on a lowball figure. And the game I'm playing right now, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, the reboot for 2022, this game cleared $800 million on opening weekend, which is fucking crazy, which is absolutely just nuts when you compare how Siege is doing right now. And I think that people seem to have this idea that because Siege isn't hitting these kinds of traffic numbers, and I was in this camp too, people seem to think that because Siege isn't hitting this kind of traffic, it's not doing well, and of course the cheating situation doesn't make it look like things are going well. But the thing is, Siege is still making net revenue for Ubisoft. Now, I personally think Rainbow Six Siege can be making a lot more money than it's making right now, but that's neither here nor there. I don't work for Ubisoft. I can't get into the room and tell them what to do, right? It's not my position. It's not my job. And there's aspects about that job that require certain levels of experience that I don't have. But for the sake of comparison, let's look at the priority list, right? For Siege, for COD, for Valorant, right? For all these games that are competing in this space. Let's take a step back and kind of talk about what are people frustrated about with each of these games, okay? So, Modern Warfare 2. All right, skill-based matchmaking. A lot of people really, really don't like skill-based matchmaking. You got Tim the Tap Man talking about it. The cultural zeitgeist around skill-based matchmaking, pretty overtly negative. There's compelling cases for and against it. It's a very controversial issue, but the game has still sold remarkably well, despite skill-based matchmaking being around for as long as it's been around. All right, next. Overwatch 2. The skins are fucked. Okay. People still playing the game. Overwatch Grand Finals just dropped. A lot of hype around the new hero and the announcement there. Okay, so that, you know, skin's fucked. All right. Doesn't really affect the gameplay, though. People still play the game. Next. Valorant. We've been down this road 5 million times. Anti-cheat bad. China bad. Okay? Still kicking ass, number-wise. Right? Still very popular, esports-centric kind of game. That's, in some ways, a bit more of a flavor of lighter fare compared to CSGO. So, okay. Looking good for Val. Siege. Finally, we're back to Siege. Cheaters. Cheater. Cheaters ruining the game. Oh my god. No one's gonna play the game anymore. Help. That's me. That was me. Literally uploaded a freaking video about it. I was so convinced. I got my finger to the pulse of something that nobody's talking about. Oh my gosh. I gotta get this out there. You know, that's how I really felt. And then I read this Siege GG article. Oh wait, Siege is actually making money. Well, damn. So, despite all of these, you know, negative press kinds of circle jerks, you know, for lack of a better word that comes to the top of my head, it really doesn't seem to faze the overwhelming majority of consumers in the gaming space. Most gamers just play the freaking game, right? They don't read Dexerto articles. They don't go into YouTube comments. They don't go on Twitter and reply to devs. They don't go on forums and talk about balance changes. They don't do any of these things. Right? Even the people that watch the competitive side, even people who watch the esports side, right? They might be more inclined to. But a lot of them just, you know, they tune in for the grand finals and they're like, oh, wow, that shit was crazy, huh? And they go back to their, you know, they just go on with their freaking life. And that's where we're at. I think people are starting to kind of figure out, like, gaming, what used to be a very, very niche kind of hobby for a select group of nerds has gone overwhelmingly mainstream. And the thing about mainstream hobbies is that things kind of get mired in the mud just a little bit more than they normally would. Right? That's what happened to freaking Star Wars. Star Wars got, you know, it sold out. It went mainstream, and then we ended up with a bunch of freaking, you know, piles of steaming bantha crud. Right? God, that was such a nerdy reference. Wow. Moving on. Aside from that, with some of these entries into the Star Wars franchise, just for sake of comparison, there's still, like, a breath of life, right? There's still a breath of life when the company is willing to just give the IP to nerds and let nerds just do the nerd shit, and it turns out really, really good. And sometimes I think this happens with the gaming industry, too. And I think this happens with games like Modern Warfare 2, which is pretty much just, like, just a gun nerd love letter. I mean, this game has production quality so freaking good. You know, this is what you get out of a AAA title. This is what you should be paying for when you pay for a AAA title. The gun animations are awesome. The sound design is great. Everything about this is just like tactical bro, freaking like, just really, really cool action movie shit, right? That was the whole vibe that they went for here, and they knocked it out of the park. So yeah, gamers, you know, get kind of heavily involved with some of this stuff. If they played the game a lot, they'll talk about how the game is a little bit slower, more deliberately paced. It's not as fast-paced as Black Ops Cold War was. There's not as much bunny hopping, yada, yada, yada. All the stuff that streamers and crap talk about. But the overwhelming majority of people are dudes on their couch. You know, they work at Home Depot. They have a girlfriend who's probably pissed off that they're just doing nothing but play Call of Duty this weekend. He went to a Packers game, and his gaming buddies were sad that he didn't get on that night. They're like, dude, it's opening weekend, come on. And he's like, I bought the tickets a while ago. And they're like, all right, fine. Hey, say hi to Megan for me, fucking blah, blah, blah. That's mainstream gaming. That's the mainstream gaming audience. It's not people in a Reddit thread. And I know that sounds insane. I know that sounds just reprehensible to say out loud, depending on who you talk to. But that's just how it feels to me from looking on the outside in now. Looking at the actual amount of revenue this stuff is making compared to the online sort of yada, yada, yada. It's two very different things. It's very, very different things. And a buddy of mine, I'm gonna add him when I drop this video. Matt, you might know him as Chowderhead on Twitter. He put out a really, really great set of tweets regarding this situation recently with Siege. And the first time I read it, I couldn't really say anything, right? Because he was fucking right. And that's the situation that I'm kind of in, right? That's the situation I think a lot of content creators are in. So I'm just going to read it out loud. Hi, the game Rainbow Six Siege is doing fine, but the esports professionals and content creators cannot see that the fact that their numbers are going down has no relation to the profitability or health of the game. Siege makes money, they don't. The disconnect scares them. We've moved past peak influencer on Siege. We've moved past peak Siege. The game is not as popular, but doing just fine for a 7-year-old live service game. Diversify your content or die screaming on the pile of influencers who you stand on, fertilizing the next generation. Your children screaming at a void that doesn't care about you as a marketing arm anymore. You will suffer, burn, flame out, crash. You've created your own hell through your own actions. Go and learn Valorant if you want views. This is not a warning. This is a statement of fact. Adapt or die. There is no half measure. And he's right. Like, he's fucking right. So, Siege content creators, like, we're in a situation where we can do one of two things, right? We can look at Siege, and we can keep making freaking content about Siege, and listen to these people that are like, oh, but this isn't Siege, where's the Siege content? It's like, okay, well, here's the Siege content, here's the Siege content that we can do. We can drama farm about the cheating crap forever, right? So that, we could do that, right? And that would still get hits. Or we can try to do other freaking games. And then, oh, well, there's skill-based matchmaking, there's a battle pass, there's a fucking, oh, the skins, I don't like the skin thing. Like, fucking, dude. This is nauseating. Okay? Like, people play video games, and if you're a gaming content creator, you're in the business about making content with video games. So, I'm not gonna put myself in a situation where all I do is just drama farm about Siege and drama farm about games. Because I end up kind of contributing to that culture, and it made me a bitter and an irritable kind of person, because I always felt like my work was, you know, pretty much related to the efforts of another group of people that I didn't really have as much influence over. And so instead of, you know, fixating on that, I think it's better for us as content creators to just focus on what we know, focus on what we're good at. My niche is informational content. So I'm just going to do that. And if it's informational content about freaking Call of Duty, which people look at and they go, oh, but it's freaking Call of Duty, there's no information to talk about. There's tons of information to talk about. Call of Duty has a competitive scene. Call of Duty has one of the most active competitive gaming scenes on the market, right? The fact that competitive scenes are thriving and becoming more popular is not a testament to people's unhealthy obsession with gaming. It's a testament to the passion that people have for treating these games like kind of like a sport, right? Like, hockey started out as a bunch of dudes on you know, a frozen lake, just kicking like a rock around, and they were like, hey, you know, this is kind of fun. And then one thing led to another, and now it's a major international sport, you know, if it's at the freaking Olympics. So we're in the, you know, we're at the start of this. We're at the genesis of this kind of era. And I'm interested in riding it out. And I'm not going to listen to people that are just going to, you know, demand drama farming all the time, because A, that's not fun, and B, it's not representative of the actual picture on the ground. So, you know, I'm not going to get all of my freaking feedback from Reddit. That sounds like a waste of time. I like FPS games. I think that there's methodology to these games that people don't really appreciate, and I'm going to try to make a living off of talking about them and trying to explain some of the more complicated sort of concepts to people in a way that's entertaining and easy to understand. And I think that other Siege content creators, you might be in a similar kind of position, because let's be honest, for the most part, there's two types of Siege content creators. There's meme Big Chungus, and there's information stuff. So if you're doing informational content and it's not really working for you, I would say try to go into other competitive scenes and see what's working there. And, you know, it's all related, right? All of these games, in one way or another, are somewhat related to each other, right? They all derive inspiration and themes from each other, regardless of what people think, right? Everybody likes to think that they're in their own little echo chamber that's, you know, this happy little island that nobody else has any influence on. All these developers, you know, they take notes from each other, and that's just something to think about. But these are all ideas that I've been bouncing around for a little while, and I'm just gonna wing it and see what happens. I'm not going to stress too much about the numbers while I try to do different things, because that's just the nature of the job, and you just gotta eat what you kill, take what you get, and roll with the punches. The man in the arena, as they would say. So, yeah, thanks for watching this video the whole way through. If you did, it was a lot to go over, and I will see you in the next video very, very soon. Deuces.